imagine that we are in a Sunday school classroom, and the Sunday school teacher is asking you to recite the most well-known chapter in the Bible. So I'm going to ask Gabby. Gabby, can you say Psalm 23? Yeah? Say it.
Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be want. He makes me lie down in green pages. He stores my. He leads me beside quiet waters. He stores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Even though I walk to the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You know my head was oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and love will follow me all of my days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
I hope you all knew the Psalm 23. Psalm 23, that when we think about it, is a psalm that little children recite in Sunday school. Non-Christians, like Christians, most of them, they know Psalm 23. When we think of Psalm 23, we think of a nice little sheep or flock of sheep, a shepherd, and how sheep and shepherd are very happy. And it's nice to have Psalm 23 in our Bibles. It gives us a warm and fuzzy feeling. But when you go through really hard times in your life, okay, say it's maybe family, maybe it could be exams or financial problems, whatever you're going through and you needed maybe guidance or you need someone to tell you what direction to take, you don't normally go to Psalm 23. You think of Psalm 91. The Lord is my refuge. You know, like how I can hide under His wings, how He's going to lift me up. Like we think of Psalm 91, not Psalm 23. Most of us is because we don't really relate to that psalm that much. Because 91 we can relate, everyone has been through hard times. But Psalm 23 is not really like applicable to me, because David wrote this psalm, and when he wrote this psalm in the perspective of a sheep. When he says, the Lord is my shepherd, what does make David a sheep? The problem with the sheep is, first, I have to ask, how many times actually does the Bible say sheep? It says 200 times. 200 times in the Bible, the sheep is mentioned. So that means if it is not mentioned 10 times, not 20, not 50, 200 times, that means it has some of importance to it. But here we cannot really relate to it. Why not? Because most of us didn't grow up on a farm. We have seen a sheep, but we don't really know the characteristics of a sheep. What does a sheep really do? Eat grass all day and sleep. So I didn't grow up on a farm either, so I checked what are the characteristics of a sheep. There are lots of characteristics, but I choose 3 this day, and how we can relate being a sheep too, because the Bible calls us sheep, right? So how can we relate to it? Number 1, sheep follow the leader. When one sheep makes a move, the rest will follow, even if it is not a good idea. The flocking and the following instinct is so strong that in 2006, there has been an incident reported in eastern Turkey where one sheep tried to jump over a cliff that has an edge was 15 meters deep. And it fell into the cliff, and 400 other sheep followed and died. 400, all dead. And I think this is something we as young people, especially as young people, I mean, this is something all ages can relate, but especially the young people can relate, is peer pressure. If you are around certain people long enough, they start to matter you. And more important is their opinion becomes very important to you. About 15 years ago, there was a research. A team of psychiatrists conducted an experiment. They had 10 teenagers in the age of 40 to 24, and what they did bring them in our room, and the doctor said, we are going to hold up some cards. And on each card are lines, 3 lines. Line A, line B, line C. But each of them have a different length. So, and they said, we're gonna bring you into a room and we want to see how far you can see at the end of the room. So, the doctors, before they started it, 9 of the teenagers were told secretly something else too. They were told not to raise the hand for the longest line, but for the second longest. Okay, so 10 teenagers, okay, in a room, they are actually supposed to raise their hand for the longest, okay? But 9 were told second longest, secretly. So one person, longest, the other 2 vote wrongly. Okay, you got it? So here's the doctors, they're holding up a card and saying, vote for the longest. Okay, so line A is short, line B is long. So, but the 9 raised the hand for the wrong one. The doctors asked to raise for the long one, but they raised the hand for the short one. So here's the one fella that they were eyeing, that they were actually viewing him, they're following him. So this guy gets kind of confused because 9 of the rest of his group is voting the hand for the wrong one. So he gets kind of nervous, but then he raises for the wrong answer. Okay? Again, the doctors give them directions. Again, the 9 raised the hand for the wrong answer. So this one guy, again, gets more nervous. Wait a second, okay? They said long and everybody's doing the wrong one, but he thinks, but eventually he raises the hand for the wrong answer. Over and over and over again. Then he became more and more confused, but he always hand for the wrong one. After the experiment was done, he later told the doctors, okay, that he thought that he might have heard it wrong, okay, that maybe he didn't get it, or more importantly, that he thought somehow it's missed the point and everybody's going to laugh at me, so I better go with the crowd. You see, that's the thing, the genius about Satan. He surrounds us with people who tells us, okay, that wrong is right, that evil is better than good, that God either doesn't exist or does he actually doesn't care about us. And after a while, we begin to listen to that voice. And then, even though it's wrong, it starts to make sense to us. We begin to listen to it. Satan makes us to follow. But how does he do it? He actually sells an idea. What do I mean? For example, okay, he doesn't say, hey, take the cigarette. I'm just taking a cigarette. Okay? He's rather going to tell you, okay, hey, it calms you down. Your friend's going to say, hey, it calms you down, man. Before the exam, just one puff. Relieves the stress. Oh, you can't enjoy a party unless you drink something. Or if you're full, if you haven't slept at least with 1 or 2 people. I heard this during my university years. I heard this a lot. you are actually a fool, because they asked me at that time if I was a virgin, and I said, was kind of uncomfortable, It's like, like sitting there and you're like, yeah, everybody had a girlfriend or boyfriend, I didn't, so it was very uncomfortable, okay? So are you virgin? So I say, yes. So, yes, I am. And so, but they said, I'm full if I haven't slept with one or two people before I get married, because you have to test drive your relationship before you get married. How will you actually know if you're ready for marriage if you haven't tried it out? But it's like, he doesn't actually look at us like this, sexual relationship or alcohol or drugs or whatever what goes on around us. He rather shows us, if I do that, I'm going to be popular. He makes us look at style. He makes us look at status. He makes us rather look at the significance. He's going to sell us an image. Let me put it like this. I was yesterday looking on Facebook. There was an advertisement for cake. There's a company that I really like. I've been looking at their cakes. They're really nice. But there was an advertisement for that cake. So there was this small white table with a cake, beautiful cake, pearls and peonies, and really beautiful. And a girl sitting there with the latest lehenga that looked like a dream, and she was holding a cup. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a second, what are they selling? If they're selling the cake, they're going to just take a picture of the cake, isn't it? Why that whole, all about it? Because they're selling something more than the cake. Or I'm thinking, okay, cake, the guys are not going to relate to that example. So I was thinking, okay, fashion. So I'm always saying, okay, what are they wearing? It's like thinking, Kevin, what was Kevin wear? And I was like thinking, maybe you guys, Gab, I'm not sure, Gab. So I thought Zara. My brothers like Zara. So I thought maybe I go with Zara here. I checked Zara's advertisements, okay? There's a bunch of young boys, they are standing in a group and having a good time, standing in the city, I think at a train station or something, having a good time. If it was the clothes only, why not just have a picture of the clothes? Why the surroundings? Because they're just not selling the product, they're selling an image. Satan is actually packaging his products. And he wants to see what he wants, see what he wants you to see, okay? And not what actually it does to us. Not what it actually can do to our life. Satan tries to sell us a product that most reflects what people really want in our life. Popularity, acceptance, manliness for boys, and attractiveness for women. Pleasure, success, achievement. But Satan's actually very careful how he's doing it, because if he would really get it, what it would do to my life, we would not go that way. We would not buy it. Satan doesn't sneak into our room at night and whisper in our ears like, yo, Micah, you should do this wicked thing. He's not doing that. He actually works through people, and people that are close to us, that I know and trust. He makes us Christian, I think, we're not really walking into the world, but I think as Christians we walk the edge. What I mean is, with one hand, with one feet, we stand in the world. With the other, we are in the church. We try to balance both. But if you want to really try that, at the end, Satan will win. There's no chance you can walk the edge. You will fall. Matthew 3:36 tells us that we are like sheep without a shepherd. We need someone to navigate us through life. And Psalm 23 says, the Lord is my shepherd. We need God to navigate us through life, because See, on your one hand, you have your friends, co-workers, family, a lot of people that tell you one thing. And then on the other hand, you have the Bible. And you're like, okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to go through life? I want this, I know I shouldn't be doing that. So you need a shepherd to give you the wisdom, okay? You need God to give you the wisdom to make the right choices. You need God's strength to actually say no if it is wrong. And you need the grace and the love of your shepherd, of your God, to go through it, not go back, even if it is hard. There's a story of a boy in the mountains. He was herding a flock of sheep. A man from the city came. He asked the boy if he knew Psalm 23, and he said no, he didn't. So he said like this, I'm going to teach you the first verse. The Lord is my shepherd. Can you do that with me? I don't know if you know the story. So everyone, hand up. The first one is the Lord. Third is, fourth is my shepherd. And he told them to hold, now here's the thing, to hold the fourth finger tightly. Okay? He said the Lord is not a shepherd, the Lord is my shepherd. Whatever you're going through in your life, hold on to it. Okay? Say the Lord is my shepherd. So after a while that year, there was a heavy snowfall. And after in the spring, there was a lot of avalanches. So one day the boy was missing. After they found the body of the sheep, they found the body of the boy, and his right hand was grasped tightly on the fourth finger. I know I told this story, my brother, years ago. And when he was younger, he was actually really young, he came to us and said he went in school, he had a very, very hard exam. And he didn't, at that time, he said he didn't know how to pray or was very nervous, okay? There was something about this exam that was very important. And so he said the only thing he remembered was he was holding his fourth finger with his right hand, squeezed it so tightly. And that's all he could do. He passed that exam. The thing is, can you this morning say, the Lord is my shepherd? Whatever you're going through, remember. Okay, when you can't pray, just hold your fourth finger. He knows. Second, sheep are dirty. So normally when we think of dirty animals, we think of pigs, not sheep. But sheep are filthy and dirty. Because sheep are generally covered in mud and their own waste. Their wool can tangle around all sort of nastiness, and they're not able to clean themselves. We see actually cats, when you see cats, they're very clean. The whole day they're going to lick and lick and lick. Sheep can't do that. Sheep actually need someone to clean them. They are dependent on the shepherds to clean them. How is it with us? How many times have we dirty thoughts? How many times have we dirty words? Rude words? How many times do we have dirty responses? Dirty attitudes? Even as Christians, and I think especially as Christians, we struggle with sin. We think as Christians, I don't have, I'm holy, and yes, but we do really struggle with sin. The things I want to do that I don't know. Then there are things I don't want to do, but that's what I do. Like Paul said, I sin. And the gospel tells us that Jesus died for my sins. That he took it upon himself, and then he rose again. And it says that if I repent, I get this forgiveness. So you need a shepherd. But the thing is, you could say, I don't need a shepherd. But the thing is, everybody has a shepherd. Everybody. For some people, their shepherd is power. For some, it's popularity. For some, it's money. I don't say money is a bad thing. Or I don't say to have a high position, power is a bad thing. Or I don't say if you're popular is a bad thing. But if that becomes your shepherd, if that is what leads you, that is what can leave you wounded and confused. Remember this, that Jesus stands there with his hands open and says, I'm your shepherd. Whatever you did, that's past. Come to me. I can make you clean. See, because we think sometimes, I don't get out of it. Just run to him anytime. Third, sheep are defenseless. They are defenseless animals. Animals have all sorts of defense mechanism to protect themselves from predators. So a chameleon changes its color to hide. A skunk that can spray. A snake, some snakes have poison. Bears have maybe sharp teeth. Okay, actually bears have sharp teeth. They can bite through the bones to get to the bone marrow. Tigers, sharp claws, but not sheep. There's actually reported incidents where crows, they flew on the head of sheep and they were plugging the sheep's eyes. And kind of, horrible, nasty. But the sheep couldn't do anything. What's it going to do? Bark? Catch a claw with claws? Doesn't have any. And the Bible calls us sheep. That means we are defenseless. But we don't like to be defenseless. We like to be in control of our lives. We like to be tough. We like to know what's going to happen. We like to be in control of all the situation. But can you really protect yourself and protect your family and your friends 24/7? I've been talking to other youth and lately, and they've been telling me how they have incidents of shooting in school and drugs. But then there's a few incidents in Europe where young people went in a bar and then there was something put into their drinks while they didn't notice. And the next morning they woke up in a park and they really didn't know what had happened. Or there's another incident in Germany. Someone injected something poisonous into yogurt cups in a food store. And lately I heard there are acid incidents. Someone takes a bucket full of acids and throws on people. They literally burn. Okay? And they didn't know these people who did it to them. And they don't know why, but it happened. So you never know what's actually going to happen when you go out there. We think we have our lives under control. We think, we are someone. But actually, we are very vulnerable. We are defenseless. We need the Lord, our shepherd, to be our defender, our protection. But actually, how do you know that he is your shepherd? How do you know when you say, hey, he's my shepherd? How do you know? Because John 10:27-28 says, my sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me. Back in the time of Jesus, in the Old Testament, there's not lots of water in Israel. So when you come with your flock to a well, you want to give them water, there might be other shepherds with their sheep. They intermingle, and when the shepherd wants to leave, he calls them. How does he call them? He just calls them with his voice. And all the sheep hear it. All the sheep hear it. But only his sheep follow him. So this way they don't get mixed up and get with the other shepherd. How can we hear God's voice? It's only through personal relationship with Jesus. You will hear his voice and then you can follow. Only in a relationship you will understand that what He wants for us, that the Bible says is good for us, only in a relationship. It then doesn't become a book of rules. It's hard to follow. It's rather I want to do it because I understand. Only in a relationship, okay, you can say, God is saying, you want to study something, and God is saying, no, it's actually not, I want to study something else. Only in a relationship with Jesus, you can say, okay, I give up my dreams, I can do this one, because you have a bigger dream for me. Or, you could say, only in a relationship with God, you can say, you want to marry someone, it could be a she, a he, and God is saying no to that person. Because He's like, this is not the right one for you. Only in a relationship with Jesus, you are able to say, okay, I leave. I leave that relationship. So who are you following? If you say, Jesus, I follow Jesus, He is my God. Then Psalm 23 says, I shall not be in want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Here's the thing, when I always thought of green pastures, I always thought it's like really grassy, juicy, green grass. Lots of green grass for miles and miles and miles. The sheep eat as much as they want, become these fat sheep. And that is not exactly what the Bible says. That's not what the picture is. In biblical times, to today, the sheep are not kept in the farm country. They are brought to the hillside. Rocks, little bit of blades of grass. I didn't have that picture. Next time, I'm going to bring the pictures. It's actually like hillside. When you look at the pictures, you're going to think, wait a second, are these sheep eating the stones, the rocks? When you look closer, you see little tufts of grass. Where the raindrop fell, they collected beneath the rock, and underneath the rock, the little tufts of this grass. The sheep eat what they need for that day. They don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow, the shepherd will find another hillside with grass. They are satisfied today. This is something a lot of young people struggle with today. Being satisfied with what you have today. Looking at what you have today rather than you don't have. When I was in university, I struggled with this because there were courses I wanted to get, I didn't get in. Programs that I wanted to get in, I didn't get in. Things that I didn't have, I compared myself to others. I looked at the other's success. I looked at the sunny side of the other's lives. And I started to struggle. I always felt like, it was for a long time, I always felt there was something missing in my life. I thought I would be happier if I had certain things. I was feeling like I wasn't living to my full potential. There was always something nagging me and telling me, it's not right. I could be better. It could be better. And I couldn't really see how God was actually providing me. I couldn't see the little steps I was making. I was rather seeing everything I couldn't do. And I felt like a loser. Seriously, I felt like a loser I wouldn't say it, but that's how I felt. I would try to act like I had everything together, everything was great, but inside of me, I always felt like a loser because I compared myself to others. I always thought green pastures means I have everything. Means I'm on top of things, and I wasn't, and that made me really feel horrible. Inside of me, it was like I wasn't satisfied. And where do we get that thinking? We live in a century of social media, Instagram, and Facebook, and Snapchat. So I was kind of doing some research on Instagram, because a lot of young people use Instagram. And this is what I found. A CNN report says Instagram, worst social media app for young people, mental health. Instagram is the most harmful social networking app for young people's mental health, followed closely by Snapchat. And according to a new report by the Royal Society for Public Health in UK, they say these young people get anxiety, depression, self-identity, and body image. Instagram topped the list in terms of negative impact. And they say especially young women, because they compare themselves against unrealistic, largely created, filtered, photoshopped versions of the reality. You can soften your face, you can make it brighter, you have large eyes, etc., etc., etc. And they say young people who spend more than 2 hours daily on social media are more likely to report poor mental health and psychological distress. And that's when I started to think of the green pasture. Said, you know what? That's not it. I don't need to have all this. I don't need to be perfect. There's things right in front of me day by day. God doesn't promise me a life of luxury or long-term supplies. He will give us what I need for today. Tomorrow, He will provide again. So we need to look what I have right now and go with what He has given me. I have to find out what did God give me instead of what He didn't give me. Because every morning there will be more grass, but every next morning God will help me with whatever I have to deal with tomorrow. If you say, the Lord is my shepherd, then number one, He can navigate you through your life. Number two, He's the one who can make you clean. He can make your past be undone. And if you say, the Lord is my shepherd, then He's going to be right at your side. And He's telling you that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you're perfect just the way you are. You don't need to Photoshop yourself. You don't need to Photoshop your life. Because that what you got, that is what Jesus gave you. Doesn't maybe look perfect, but it's perfect for you. Can we stand up? Father God, I give all these precious young people into your hand, Father. Father, I pray that these words will be in their hearts. I pray to you that these words will be not empty words. I pray that these words that you have spoken today, that they will house somehow, Father, that will touch lives today, Father. I pray, Father, while they're walking through their lives, Father, that they can say, the Lord is my shepherd, that you will provide us, that you will protect us, Father. Father, that you will guide us through our lives, whatever we struggle with, whatever is going in our lives, Father, that we can go with you, Father, that we can accept ourselves the way we are, Father. Father, that you see us as beautiful inside and out, Father. Father, I pray that you help them, Father. Help them through their lives, Father. Help them to really cry out and say, the Lord is my shepherd, that they can hold on to the fourth finger, Father. You are not a shepherd, you're the shepherd of every individual here, Father. Help them through their lives, Father. Help them to see how much you want to be with them, Father. That you want to protect them, Father. That you are always there. They're not alone, Father. Father, I cover each and every one with the blood of Jesus. Protect them, lead them.